Helps when you press the button to put the sound on, doesn't it? Sound's on. And I see you got it there too, mate, in the chat. Excellent. Thanks, mate. I'm going to sort the chat out better. I'm going to get a little iPad something in here as well so that I can have it up beside me on the tabletop here, and that way I don't have to worry about the computer down the other end. It just gets too awkward. So hopefully that's the sound there now. I'll just check it. We might be peaking a little bit, so I'll just wind it down a little touch. How are we going now? It's still a bit peaky. Check that. 1 2 1 2. Still a little bit peaky. 1 2 1 2. We'll see how we go with that. Excellent. Thanks, Tim. No probs. So let's get back to it then. I've just got to make sure we get 27. So I think we drilled it at 25. Yep, 25. So I need to go in and I need to take off very slow amounts till we get to 27. Oh, I was going to check that, make sure that that's what was required. 27 by 17, well, we got the 17 right, maybe slightly above 27, but no more than 27.5, so gives us a little bit of fudge. So I'm just going to go in. I would have liked to have the tailstock cam for this one because it would give you a better view of what I'm doing here, but I'm actually making a cut in there to open that hole up and then I'll check it. $26.5. Oh. The problem that you have is that you've got to remember and only take off half the amount that you really need. Yeah, beautiful. We've got it. Okay. So now basically what I've got to do is I'm just going to go straight in until we get to the bottom. So you can hear how this one's a lot, it's a different noise to the other one. The polyurethanes tend to cut more like streamers, and although it's a very hard material and very strong, but it just cuts differently to the polyester resins. Okay, now I do have one of Sir Jan's hand-tied rhodiums, but it is a 27mm knot, so it might not go in there. But before I do that, I better just take the sharp edge off that cut, just to try it and see if the knot will go in there. It's too tight. It goes in, but it won't go in all the way to the depth. It's just too tight. So if I go to camera 3, that's just with the camera stuck to the back of the thing there until I move it back. It won't go in all the way, it's too tight. So but it's taken a 26mm, not a 27, so hence the reason. So that hole size is good now. Just double check the depth. That's got to go in, so I'm going to have to put that bit back in again. 25. That's a pain, but anyway, these things happen. So set it to 0. Bring it up till we touch the end of the blank. That's it. Lock it off. Yep. 16. 17. Keep that handy just in case we do need it again. But now I need to go back in with the chisel just to take the bottom out. And with this one, let's check that again now. So I didn't take any off the sides, I just had to spot on. So I just had to take a little bit more out the bottom just to give us our 17mm, which it's spot on now, 17, and it's the right width diameter now, so we're all good. Okay, we'll move that back, move that round a tad. We'll go back to the main shot and I'll get the tailstock back on. Now this tailstock can actually stay connected now, and we'll just move the other camera back there now, and that should give us the tailstock back. So let's bring this in, let's put the live centre back in, and we'll bring that up to about there, and then we'll wind the tailstock in. Beautiful. Actually, no, I'm going to round that top first before I put that in, so we'll keep that there though. I'll just keep checking the chat, Tim. If there's anything you want to know during the process, just yell out and put it in there, mate, and I'll keep checking every few minutes. So I'm just going to turn the speed up now because I'm just going to take some fine cuts. Just to round that a little bit. Take the sharp edge off it. And I'll come back to one of the other shots memory, I'm about 20, 21, 22 mil to that lip. A bit more actually, it's near 24, 25. Okay, so we'll hold that up there at round about 25, say, so that's about there. There. You see that line I've just put in there now? And the overall handle height on this one, it's about the 68, 69 millimeter mark. So we're going to go around there. That'll be the base of the handle. So we've got a bit of a shaping to start now. I'll just lift the tool rest a bit. And I might engage the tailstock just till I get that shape started on the top part, and we'll lock it off here. Okay. So I'm just going to go in there now. With the tool flat on the tool rest. The noise that you're hearing there is not it chattering, it's actually it's because it's out of round. But once we keep going with that, we'll actually get it back into round. That was chatter. I'm just going to get this to the shape I want. You can hear the material is totally different to the other stuff. All good, Tim. I don't think we're going to get any bright orange, Tim. I think it's going to be that darker browny orange all the way, I think, but we'll see once we get farther down and into the blank. We're still only just scratching the surface here on this one here. Just trying to get it round. certainly got, I don't know if the tailstock camera is going to pick that up any better. It'll probably, once we, you'll probably see it, but we've certainly got a bit of swirl in there with the blue and the orange. But it's just, the orange is not going to be a bright orange. But anyway, it'll come up once we get it all polished and that too. So let's just keep going and see how it turns out, eh? Go to that one again. Just want to refine the shape a bit now. Still got to do a little bit more refining on the top of the brush as well. We're getting there. Trying to clear that so you can see the swirl in it, but I don't know if the camera is going to pick that up quite. Let's just see how we go with that. So now I'm going to set up to start the shaping. And I'm going to be careful with the carbide with these because they tend to be a bit harsher on this particular material. So yeah, mate, fingers crossed. Like I said, you never really know what you're going to get until you get inside the blanks sometimes. It's amazing how they can change. And you can't tell nothing really from the outside of the blank. You can get the gist of the colour, but you can't tell how much swirl you're going to get, how the colour's going to be in the inside, how the pattern's going to be in the inside. Unless you're really doing like an open mould where you can gain access so you can actually put swirl into the blank, and you can change it. You know, you can mix your colours in a certain way if you've got an open casting that you're doing. But when it's in a vertical mould, you've really got to, it's just experience and knowing what you're going to get in there. But at the end of the day, the resin, as it cures as well, the resin will move around because of the heat as it starts to cure. So as it starts to cure, there's more and more heat, which causes the resin to move around actually in the mould. But having said that, this particular casting, you probably watched the video, Tim, but this particular casting, I actually cast it when the resin was just about ready to go off. In fact, I think some of the resin did actually start to gel in the cups as we were pouring, so we had to sort of speed up the process. So it couldn't have been any better for colour separation, to be honest. But we'll see how it turns out once we get in there, right? more cautious with the shaping of this particular handle because this material is a lot different to turn than the other materials. Still the same techniques really, but you've just got to be a lot more careful with the tip of the tool on the material so that it doesn't bite, because if it bites alright and you end up with a lot of chip out and stuff. So, and you can't, there's nothing you can do about it if it's in the final shaping, or it's alright if you've still got heaps of material left, then you can keep turning it down in the hope that you're going to be able to get down to your final shape and the chips are going to be gone. So far we haven't had any chipping, fingers crossed. I'm going to have to stop and clear it shortly because I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move this in, and I'm going to take the sharp edge and give it a little bit of shape on the ring here. So we'll put that tool underneath for now. We'll bring the skew out again, and I'm just going to go into that nice and gently so it doesn't get too harsh. Once we get it to round, we're okay, but when it's out of round, that's it round now. Yep. That's it. That's all it takes. We'll bring the tool back out. We'll continue following that in there. Now I'm just going to set my off this one to the narrowest point of that shape, which is about there. And what I'll be doing is I'll be taking that down till we get to that size. So let's go. And I'm also just taking the shape a little bit further down in the lower section of the lower part of the handle as well now, so we get rid of some of that out of roundness. As we get in near the chuck, it'll be round again, or pretty close to. I don't know if that's the best camera shot there. Let's try camera one, just different perspective. Hey John, how you doing, mate? Here, Dick, the Scottish Aussie. Scozzy like myself. Thanks for dropping in, buddy. Just working on a brush here that Tim may be interested in. It's not quite as we hoped for it to be, John, but nonetheless nonetheless, as I says to Tim, I think it's still going to make a really nice handle. Right, I'm just going to check that narrow section in here. Oh, actually, I think we might have a winner here, Tim. I think that orange is starting to show through quite nicely, mate. Still going to go narrower. We are starting to see a bit of nice orange in there. You need me to up the volume, John. Is the volume not loud enough? I can up the volume if that's going to help. Let me just see what's going on here. Testing 1 2 1 2. Testing 1 2. Program volume. I wonder how the program volume, how I adjust that. Just let me have a play a minute, guys. I don't see what's going on here. Oh, hang on. I know what I've done. I've got the wrong microphone on. See how that's coming through now? That's probably loud as anything. Yeah, I've got what happened now. John, thanks for notifying me in the chat there, mate. I was playing around with the cameras today, and I've swapped a couple of the cameras over, and the sound normally comes through on camera number 2, which is my handy cam, the one that's got the head down shot that you're looking at now. And I changed the cameras around so they've been renumbered, and I actually still had the sound on for camera number 2, and it should have actually been camera number 1. So looking at my meters here on the screen, it's come right up. Yeah, good, excellent, John. I'll continue on with this brush now, mate. I'll keep checking the chat every few minutes, so any questions or want to ask anything, just ask away. And I'll get to it eventually. Right, let's have another quick look and a check and measurement. Yeah, just a tad, another tad to go. See how we are there for size. Still a tad. Shape's looking good though. Colours are coming out a little bit better now. You won't really see it until I polish it up though. Of that. It's getting closer, but I think we might still have a little bit to go. Oh, that's almost there now. So I think we'll stick with that, because the time we sand that, that'll come down to to just spot on. Now, I'm just going to start shaping into here now, guys, and just bring that down so that we end up getting the same shape as that one. I don't know which camera is going to show that best. Let's go to there. I don't know if that's going to... Yeah, no. Well, you can see the shape anyway, but it's just hard to get it to show the replication. If I go back to that other one, can't really, no. But side by side, you can see the shape coming up. So anyway, we'll keep going. Where are we at? Yeah, no worries, John. You have your tea, mate. I'll be having my dinner after I do the stream. That's no worries. You guys have a bit of a chat between yourselves there. Yeah, well, the stream will go. It'll go up on YouTube a little while after I finish anyway, John. So if you want to watch the rest, you can watch the rest. That's no worries at all, mate. I'm just going to keep turning now though. So all I'm doing is I'm taking that shape down now to where I want that curve to be on the bottom of the handle, and then I relieve it from the bottom and then bring the bottom curve up to meet this curve. We'll go back to that one. I think that one probably gives you an idea of where we're at. You can hear that noise again when we just come to the off-centre round of the handle. And I'm getting just about there now. Okay. Get rid of some of this over the back there. The mess it makes. I don't know if using the air hose is a good idea. I think it makes more mess than it does clean up. You're probably not seeing the orange in it, Tim, but yeah, it's looking alright actually. I think it's going to look good when it's sanded and polished, mate. We'll soon see the colour pop once it gets to that stage. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to part off at the bottom, well, parting so far anyway, so that I can then start doing my shaping, rounding off the bottom up to meet this curve here as I mentioned earlier. So let me just, I'm going to lower that right down. And I'm going to go in there. I'll relieve that. I want to relieve that more yet, so I'm going to go in further. That real grinding noise that you hear, that's just me when I fall off the cut in the groove, and it just catches the edge of the tool and it gives you that chipping noise. Didn't do it that time because I kept the tool on the cut. I might just relieve it a tad more. Okay. So that's the bottom of the handle determined. So now what I'm going to do is come in with a skew as a scraper again. I'll lift this tool rest up, and I'm just going to start the rounding over at the bottom of the handle. High enough? Yep. Getting that noise again because we've got that out and round again at the bottom here, which we haven't sort of rounded it off yet. Don't know, yeah, you might get that better in you might get that better in camera 3. Now we're on camera 3. Let's try camera 1. There we go. That's going to give you a better look at that. I'm just going to lift the tool rest a tad higher. Just going to watch I don't catch the edge of the chuck key. And we're getting rid of that out around now. I'm blending the bottom into the handle now. There's a little bump there, so we'll take that out. that. And I'll keep looking over the top just to see how the shape's coming along, whether it's where I need it to be. A little bit there, but we'll pick that up with sandpaper, I think. Just want a little bit more round the very, very bottom here. I'm right on the edge of the chuck there. Right, I'm going to have a bit of a look at that. We've got a few little tool marks in there, but they'll come out shortly. I think those colours are going to pop once I start sanding, getting it down to the nitty gritty with the wet and dry, and then giving it a polish after, a buff and a polish after. I think it's going to let the colours pop, especially the blue. I think the blue is going to really come out. Still want a little bit more round in there though. Like the brush to be undercut on the bottom, so it's not just a flat bottom. Just design, shape, just it looks a lot better. And then blend it in. Off of there, square that shoulder up. Let's get a little bit of chatter in it now. Just take that out. Better. Take the sharp edge. Beautiful. But there, just a tad more there. And I think I'm going to be pretty happy with that. Shutter it now. How's that sound now, guys? It sound okay? RPM at this stage, Tim, is 1,643 RPM, and that's only about halfway on my speed dial, on my variable speed. But it's still spinning relatively fast. I mean, it's a smaller object, so we need that speed there. So it's all good. Yes, we've got some really nice swirl on it, I'll tell you that much. And it's looking quite good actually, because it's looking like we've got a lot of blue coming up from the bottom, less orange at the bottom, and then as we come to this twist here we get a bit of orange, and then orange gradually comes up into this section here, and then the top has got more orange than blue, so it's actually going to look quite nice, I think. So I'm just going to run through some sandpapers now, guys. Good, thanks John. Sounds okay now. Yeah, silly me. I've been that used to pressing the mic on camera 2, and it should have been camera 1 tonight. But anyway, there we go. I'm just going to slow it down a bit too when we're sanding. I don't like sanding too fast and burning out the sandpaper, and probably still a little bit too fast. Probably that there's a bit right. But don't worry if you see any marks right in the very bottom of the handle there, because they'll come out in the when we turn the brush handle around, which we will be once we finish this stage. Now what I'm doing now is I'm just sanding it, looking for any tool marks that are there which need to come out with this sanding. But using the carbide, you tend not to get too many bad tool marks, so the sanding normally takes it out pretty quickly, to be honest. And at this stage I'm going to release that tailstock support now, because I'm comfortable that the blank's spinning nice and true now. And I'll remove that just back a touch so I can get in there with my hands. You can still see that in shot, I think. Let's check camera 3. Yeah, you can still see it in shot. I might, if anything, I might bring the camera a little bit closer so you can see the shape refining. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, it's nice when you can come in and see seeing your own brush being made, something different. And I think as far as the live stream is concerned, I think I'll bring in, I've got a little Surface Pro. I might bring that in, either that or the iPad, so that I can monitor the chat on that as opposed to trying to work the laptop as well as the switcher, as well as trying to do this on the light. So I think if I have the chat up on the shelf there, if I go to camera 2, so this shelf here is big enough. You only got part of it in shot, but it's big enough that I should be able to sit the Surface Pro or the iPad up there, and I should be able to see the chat as I'm working here, rather than have to move away from the live, go and look at the laptop, which is not facing me. It's a bit of a pain, so I think that'll be the next stage, guys, as I'll be putting the iPad or the Surface Pro up there. Now what I'm going to do here is I've turned the lathe off now, and I'm just going to turn it slowly by hand, and I'm just going to sort of put a little bit of a different rotational sand into it, just so that I've got no radial lines around the handle. When it's spinning all the time on the lathe, it's so easy just to get all those radial marks, and my background, my building shop fit and joinery background just tells me that it's like timber. I mean, you just got to sand in different, well, you sand with the grain and timber, but with these types of materials you got to sand in different directions, and that's what gives you your smoother finish. And sometimes I go circular, sometimes I just go from side to side, and I'll let the sandpaper do the work. As you've probably heard me saying before in the videos, I don't push it hard, or it's just let it take its time, let it do its job. And you've probably seen, if you've watched a couple of the videos, you've probably seen already that I spend probably more time on the sanding part and the polishing part than I do on the actual turning of the handle. So it's just one of those things, you've just got to do it. You've got less chance of seeing your colours now, Tim, when it's at this stage with the sanding. You won't really see it until I get onto the last grit, and then probably onto the wet ones. Once I get onto the wet ones, you'll see the colour just pop. And the trick with sanding is that when you've got your next grit, you've got to make sure that that removes all the scratches from the previous grit. And if you stick to that theory, you'll get your finishes right. If you jump too high in grits in between, then you'll have scratches. And if you don't sand out the scratches in the previous grit, you'll have scratches. So it's an important stage. Ha ha! Stephen Carter's in too. Mate, the more I look at you, actually hold on, I'll go and grab it. The more I look at that blank, the more I dislike it. Where are we? There it is there, and it is more brown, mate. It's a reddish brown, but it's not maroon, that's for sure. So we're going to have a crack at that one again, but I will still turn this one into a handle, because I reckon it's going to make a nice brush handle. But like I said, I'm going to have another crack at the maroon. I might try and play around mixing the maroon and colour, and if I can get that right, the gold and white is easy. The white was just a solid white pigment, and I put some, I think it was pearl white or mica white in it, and that just gave that a little bit more life. And the gold had a couple of different coloured golds in it. I think we started it with one particular gold, and then I put some lighter gold in it, brilliant gold or something like that. I'm showing that to the wrong camera. There we go. So like I said, it's more of a brown than a maroon, mate, but we'll get it right. We'll get it right, and probably a little bit less gold and white in the next one as well, probably more maroon, but I'll look at your thoughts on that one, mate, whether you think that kind of makes it. Like I said, it's hard to tell until you get inside the blank too, but that lets you see the colours anyway. And this one, I'm looking forward to this one. This one was one of the ones that I cast the other night too, where I actually used a bright blue, similar or the same sort of colour as what's in Tim's blankie, and I mixed up some gold and I went clear, and this is going to be interesting. Look at that one. Woohoo! Now I don't know how much blue is going to go down into the gold, but I'm looking forward to turning that one, and it's going to have a crystal clear. There's not a mark in that, not a bubble, not a piece of crap or anything in that clear. So that's going to come up, I think, quite nice. I don't know whether to make the handles so the brush goes in the clear end, which might look alright, but I think it might look a bit odd. I think I'll probably end up sticking with the brush in this end here, and turning the shape in that so that you'll have blue and gold, and then the handle will transition into clear. So I think that one's going to be quite nice. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get on with Tim's. Tim, it might not be the brightest orange that we thought we may get in this brush, but I think it's going to be pleasantly surprising, actually, mate. But you'll see when we get it. That's only the first grit so far. Now we're going on to the second grit. So I'm just going to start up the lathe again, fellas, and just do a bit more sanding. I much prefer the shaping part of making a brush to the sanding part, but then I do like the polishing part and the wet sanding part when you really start to get to see the colour and the pattern. Sometimes the patterns can be just as nice as the colour itself. And I was playing around this afternoon with some graphics as well. What do you reckon, guys? Does it look alright? Hey, subscribe! TF Custom Shaving Brushes. So if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you want a heads up on any of my videos, make sure you click the little bell as well. I think that's how you get notified when I go live. Some of you guys have done a lot more lives than me, so you'll know probably more than I do about that sort of stuff, but it helps. And I can also, I can take that one off and I can select the next one, and I can go on here with this one. Hey, Tony Forsyth, TF Custom Shaving Brushes. Anybody think I had too much time on my hands, eh? That's coming up a lot smoother now already. Just stop the lathe now and just give it another light rub so we get rid of any of the scratches that are there from the grit. We'll take that off. Leave that off for now. Go back to there. Okay, cool. Yep. Yep. Click that bell. And I don't set any time on my brushes as far as, you know, oh, I've got to get this one finished in an hour, or I've got to get it finished in 2 hours. It takes as long as it takes as far as I'm concerned. I do put a lot of time into my brushes, especially if you're casting it too, because you've got the time of casting and then you've got the time of turning it and finishing in it, setting the knot in if I'm setting the knots in. A lot of the brushes I've been making that have been going overseas, they're all getting fitted with rhodium knots in it. Those rhodium knots are just absolutely to die for, guys. If you haven't tried them, you need to try it. They're the most luxurious knot I've ever tried, and I've tried some, not all, but I've tried some, and these are just incredible. They're expensive, but they're worth every dollar, I can tell you. And I'm not just saying that because I've been doing a fair bit of work with Surjan, but they're just absolutely fantastic knots. I don't know if some of you will know Facade on the PNC forums. He rates it up there as one of the best out of all the knots he's tried, and he's tried declaration knots, he's tried a lot of other knots, and he rates them very highly. So just to let you know, had a nice shave the Savo too, guys. Earlier the Savo, I thought I was getting a bit beardy. I had probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks growth, and it was yeah, it was starting to annoy me. So I thought, nah, get in here. I had a bit of time on my hands earlier this afternoon. I thought, time to have a nice relaxing shave, and oh mate, I pulled out the Cosmo and my ATT razor, and oh, it was just beautiful. You might have seen my post. I put a post up in TAWSA earlier. Oh, it was just absolutely enjoyable. I says to Tim earlier, I says, put me in the mood for doing a tunneling this afternoon. So I says, well, or tonight, I mean. So he was kind. So I'm just looking closer at the handle, guys, just to make sure that if there is any little scratches there, that I take them out before I go to the next grip. I mean, there'll be some light ones there, but they'll come out as we go on with the grips. But it's anything that's got any depth to it I want to take out. Sometimes it just doesn't take much, but if you miss it, I'm just going to knock the edge off that, knock the edge off that. Right, that's second grip before we have another 2 to go, and then we'll change to the wet and dry. I might have to put a little bit more water in that too, so I might have to bear with me there. Yeah, Tim, that's right, mate. Trying to have my shave, and Tim's messaging me about his handle and knots and sizes for the socket and the handle, and it's all good, mate. Right, a little bit up there. Get all those ones, yep. I'm going to go that way. Just open that up. Get my finger into the round there. You guys are all saying, come on, hurry up, get the sanding finished so we can see the colour. I know, but I've got to go through the process. Still can't see that colour yet, Tim, can you? You're going to see it shortly though. One more grit after this one and then we go into the wets. That's when you'll see it, mate. That's looking pretty good. Okay, on to the next grip. Okay. I might put these on to that one. You can see the handle there from the bottom up. So you get a better idea of the profile. Lathe Chuck probably just hides a little bit of it, but And if you can see that one next to that one, we've got the same shape, just from a couple of measurements. I really like this shape. It's just a nice simple, well, yeah, simple shape I would say. But oh geez, it's just so nice in the hand, and it looks good. Alright, last grip we're on now, and then we'll go on to the wets, and that's when you'll see the colours start to pop once we start getting through them. Even on the first one actually you'll see the colour because it gets wet, and it just enhances and pops the colours out, being wet. I'll just get rid of these sanding marks from the previous grit, and then whatever I leave in this with this grit, the micro mesh will take out. Open that up again. Get into this one. I've got my new buffing set up too, but I haven't used it yet. I've got it all set up ready to go, but I need to, I've got no sort of bench space left in the workshop to actually bolt it to. So I'm going to build some new workbenches in the workshop here, which is my only place in the whole house here that I can set it up. But I'm going to put benches along one of the long walls, and I'll have shelves and cupboards underneath, and I'll have shelves up above the bench itself, and that'll let me get a lot of my shit away so that I create a bit more space, and it will give me a lot more bench top space as well. Once I do that, I'll be able to get the buffing set up in place and start using it, and I think that's going to take the handles to another level again, to be honest, because the little one that I use on the lathe here, it's great, it saves me having to go to another machine and all that, but it's only got little mops on it, and it's just, you've got to spend a lot more time to get the same job, whereas on the when I set the new one up, it'll be much quicker and achieve the same result, or better, and I'd say it'd probably be better actually, because they're bigger mops. And then I'll look at some of the finer compounds as well, so that I can just increase that shine in the blanks, or in the turned handles I should say. Yeah, you won't regret the shape, Tim. It's a really nice shape. It's very comfortable in the hand, mate. You get a good grip of the brush, and yeah, it's just an all-round nice shape. Most of my brushes that I have inside Most of them are variations on that shape. I've got a couple that shape, and most of them are variations on that shape as well. But I keep coming back to this one because it just seems to be, like I said, really comfortable. John, how long is it? It's, I think it finishes up around about 69 millimeters long, the handle. Just let me check. Yeah, 69, 70 mil. So it's a nice length of handle. Like, some people make them too short, and these you can hold in your hand just nice. They're a nice size. Some people think it's a little bit big though. I mean, I have had customers that have said, "Oh, can you shorten the handle down?" So I've shortened the handle down for them. But what you've got to be mindful of too is that when you shorten the length, you've got to change all the proportions as well. And depending on the size of the knot going into the handle can impact on that as well, because you can have a shaving brush that looks too top heavy and it just doesn't look right. It might function. It won't be pleasant to hold in the hand if it's too short, but it may function. The knot's still set in at the top. You can still create the same lofts in a shorter handle, but I just prefer this size. This size to me, and I've not got big hands, I would say I've probably got average size hands, but it's just this size, yeah, it's just nice. There's just something about it. It just works, you know. Right, just let me check here. A little scratch from the previous grip there, so we'll get rid of that. We're getting close here, getting onto the wets. It's an important part, this, guys, so we just got to make sure we check it and double check, and same with this section up here. If I was to charge my hourly rate for the amount of time I put into these with casting, turning, finishing, polishing, setting the knot, I wouldn't be making much money. I'll put it this way: I'll never get rich. But I enjoy it. I've got a love for working with my hands, and I got into this business through a fellow on P&C who asked me to make him a handle, even although I didn't make handles at that time. And then so he was my first customer. We made a couple of brushes for him, I think 2 or 3, and he got me started a few years ago now, and I've just progressed from there. Sunk a lot of money into it, and equipment and tools, and but I would do it again. I just love it. I'm just going to give this a little bit fine sanding here, around that, a little bit on the edge there, and a little bit to take that corner off. And that's the sanding done, guys. So I'm going to get ready to get the wets out now. Just have another look at that. Yeah, I like that shape. Are you ready, Tim? Are you ready, John, if you're still there? And Steve? Because here goes with the colour. I've got my pads here, a little bit of water. I'll probably have to fill that up later. He's ready, guys, because we're going to get a bit of colour on here now. Look at that colour. You can see the, don't know if you can see the white on the pad there. And that one there is 1500 grit. These are getting a little bit worn now, but they're still, you can still hear it cutting. They are starting to get a little bit worn, so I'm not going to get too much more out of them. I'll change to another set, but they'll get this brush done and probably a couple more. I don't know if you're seeing the colour come through there, Tim. Like as I was saying earlier, like the blue down the bottom here, and then you've got blue with the orange starting to mix in it, and then as it gets further up you've got more orange than blue, and then as you get into the top part it's more a mix of orange and blue, but more orange and fine blue coming through it. So it's got a fairly nice mix of colour in it, but yeah, it's not going to be that eye-popping orange. And to be honest, I think the orange has probably darkened the blue up too, because that blue was an absolute electric blue. Like I don't know if you've seen it in, well, you did see it in the videos, so it was a real strong blue. But I think the orange changing to the rusty orange has tainted the blue a little bit as well, but we'll see better once I stop it on the line. And there you go. Oh mate, it's nice. Woohoo! I'm really pleased with that, actually. You'll get a better look when we get it done, mate. It's eye-popping. It's definitely not going to be an in-your-face as far as the colours are concerned, but it's nice. I might try, yeah, we'll go to that one here. Let's see if that shows the colour any better once I stop it. Man, that's nice. Can you see that? Steve can see it. Oh, Tim can see it. Cool. I'll show you that top-down view now too, guys. Just have a look at that. Yeah, it shows better than the other camera, I think. So we'll go back to that, and I'll continue on at the moment. So what I'm going to do now is just rub it again with these in different directions. Well, Tim, it didn't quite, like I said, it didn't quite work out what we tried, being the bright orange and the bright blue. Certainly, it will go brown. In fact, I'd say if I hadn't poured it when I poured it, it would have gone off in the cup, so I couldn't leave it any longer, because it would have just gelled in the cup and we would have wasted all that resin. Wouldn't have got to pour it into the mould. But I can say that I have managed to get orange and not all brown. So your other supplier that said he couldn't do it, it can be done, but you've got to wait until that gel time on the resin is at its absolute limit, like we done with this one. Now, it's like I said, it's still gone a little bit more brown, but there's still orange in there, mate. It's just darker orange. It's not an eye-popping orange. to what we originally proposed to do. But it is two colours that are problem colours to mix together, because they do want to form that brown. So I think it couldn't have been done any better, I don't think, mate. You'd either have brown or you'd have this. Once I get past this stage and it's all finished, I mean, like I said, this is a slow process. It's well worth it though in the end result of the handle. But once I get through this process, which, you know, gets a bit boring for me, sand. But like I said, it's got to be done. But I enjoy getting the completed handle then and taking it inside and putting it in the photo tent and just taking some photos and then putting them up on the net. Especially when I put them on that little rotisserie thing, it just gives you it's a 30-second video, so it doesn't take long to look at it, but it lets you see the whole brush all the way around. Starting to see the blue pop out a little bit more now. But it's going to be that sort of, that's the look you're going to get, Tim. You can see there's a lot more orange, nice orange piece through there. And then it's orangey elsewhere as well, but it's sort of orangey to a brownie. But oh man, it's nice. Okay, that'll do for that one. Now we'll go to the next one, which is 1800. Just going to make sure I'm not splattering the cameras. I've got 2 GoPros and one Sony Handycam up on tripods around the life, so you can. The one that's taking the shot now, that's a GoPro, and then this one's the Sony Handycam. This shot that you're seeing now from the top down, that's the Sony Handycam. And then if I go to camera 2, which is my standing doing my thing, you can see the other GoPro here. So this one's a GoPro as well. That's why you get that little bit of fisheye look with the doors in the back there, the roll doors in the back. But I'll go back to that one for a little while. I'll stop that and I'll just give this a little bit of a rub in different directions now. Tim, have you tried the rhodium knots before? Have you got a rhodium knot yet? Keep getting little bloody pop-up things from Norton on the bottom there. Yeah, on par is probably an understatement actually, mate. I've heard from a few guys that they reckon they're actually even better. But I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and you'll always have different opinions too. So, but yeah, he's not so good, mate. They really are. They're beautiful and dense, but the tips on them are just unbelievable, mate. Absolutely unbelievable. You certainly, I'll tell you now, I mean, I know before you even try it, you will enjoy it. If you appreciate a nice badger, you will enjoy Sir Jan's hand-tied rhodiums. Okay, that's the green done. Now we're on to black, which is 2400. .2400 grit, that is. You can see the white lines forming as the lace, as I'm sanding. That's just the fine powder coming off the handle as it cuts. And this bowl, I think I mentioned the other night, this bowl was fresh water when I started the brush the other night, but it's now got a thick gungy bottom in it, which is all just basically the powdered shavings off these micro mesh pads lying in the bottom. For those that don't know, I do have a chart up behind me on the, actually you can see it just up there. Oh, sorry, we need to go to the other camera. I've got a chart just up here for these ones, just to make sure I don't get the colours mixed up, because otherwise you can end up with scratches in there from the previous grit and you won't get them out. So you've got to have them in colour sequence, so I just stack them as I use them, and that way I always know I'm in the right colour. But yeah, those go, so I sand up to 1400 with the sandpaper. I'm actually thinking extending that to 600 with another couple of grits in it. And then going again, still going with the micro mesh pads, which go from 1500 grit right up to 12,000. So it takes them really fine. But when they get up to that sort of grit, you're rubbing it and you actually don't think you're doing anything. But it's still working. It's just it's that fine. Hey Rory, how you doing, mate? Good to see you jumping in. Thought I'd knock this one out before I go in for dinner. And I'm running late as it is because I've been on air now for an hour 52 and I'm still sanding this brush, still sanding this brush away, so, or this handle I should say, but it's worth it in the end. No worries, John, we'll catch you later, mate. Yeah, and enjoy it from here on. Later on, it'll take a little while to go up on YouTube, but it'll be up, later tonight, mate. It should be. Thanks for dropping in anyway, John. Cheers, mate. Yeah, Rory, you've just come in at the right time, mate. You've seen the handle all shaped. Although this is the bone part, the sanding part, you don't see much here, mate, except me turning the lathe around and rub. But it's an important part in making these handles, so you've just got to do it. but you will hopefully get to see the finished article. I've still got to part it off yet and polish, finish, sand and finish the bottom of the handle, and then just give it a buff. The buffing part doesn't take too long, but hopefully I can get it done. I think the stream might go a bit past 2 hours though, but anyway, we'll see how we go. But if you've got things to do, just jump in and out as you need be, or you can watch it later on. Yeah, Steve, too true, mate, too true. If you want them to be right, you've got to take your time and do them right, and have the right gear to do them too. Otherwise you end up with a sort of substandard finish. These grits, you can tend to jump through these ones once you start getting up into the finer grits. You can jump through them relatively quickly because, like I said, they're not doing an awful lot. They are taking out the again, any microfine scratches from the previous grit, but chat amongst yourselves, guys. I'm just going to keep working away and try and get through these grits so I can get this handle turned around into the other chuck, and then part it off, dress up the bottom, give it a quick sand on the bottom, and then get it onto the buffing wheel. Now, as I was talking about the different materials before, different materials that I use for casting, predominantly in the past it's always been polyester, but the polyester resin is toxic, so again you need to be in a ventilated area, and this is pretty ventilated in here, so I don't have to worry about putting on breathing apparatus, etc., being in the open space. But if it was confined, yes, I would have to. So I've always done the polyester. Now I'm changing over to epoxy, which, you know, there's a lot of people use the epoxy. I'm changing over to epoxy because it doesn't have the same toxicity as, in fact I don't think it's toxic at all, like the polyester is. The only thing that's always held me off going that way is that you don't quite get the same shine in the epoxies, although the epoxies are changing all the time, they're getting better and better. But I always found it, I just didn't quite get the shine that I wanted in my handles from epoxy. So hence why I've sort of stuck with the polyester resin. The polyester resin, you get an absolutely fantastic shine with the polyester resin. So this one is polyester resin, so this is going to shine up like nothing on earth when it's finished. But like I said, I am looking to change. I've got 8 litres or so sitting over there of the epoxy just waiting for me to start doing some casting with it. Different working properties. It should be similar. It's a slow set epoxy, so it should be similar to my polyester resin that I've used up until sort of now. Still using, I'm going to continue using it. Certain handles and stuff I'll use the polyester when I want that really high glossy shine, but a lot of the epoxies, like I said, they're getting better and better, so some of them there's not a lot of difference, to be honest, nowadays. Okay, now what's this one? This one is the teal, so this one is 4000 grit, guys. And you can probably hear it even in the camera. When I was on the first initial ones, you can hear it, it's still gritty when you're sanding. But with these ones, it just gets less and less now. And the pad, pretty much, there's not a lot of resistance on it. The pad's pretty much just sliding over the top, you know. but it's still cutting. You still get, you know, greyish, whitish water coming off it when you sand it. So they are still cutting, although you might not think so. Better just stop that and give it a little rub behind. Actually, I'll go to the other view now, guys. Probably had enough seeing me, baldy-headed fella. You getting a better picture of that yet, Tim? You getting to see those colours? So this one is 6,000 grit. So I guess it's a bit like you guys with your straights. You know, you got to take them up pretty high in the grits to get that nice polished edge on the blade. It's much the same with this. You got to just keep taking it up. But like I said, the highest grit in this one, which will be the last pad I use, two from this one, gets up to 12,000. So it's pretty high as far as sanding grits. You can hear the pads are getting squeakier now as opposed to a cutting noise. That's just because the plastic's now getting, you know, nice and flat, smooth, up in the grit. There's not a lot to do, not a lot to cut. It's still working though, but most of the work's done. Okay, second last. This is 8,000 grit. I mean, I can still, you might not hear it over the counter, but I can still hear that cutting at 8,000, but it's, you know, it's very, very fine. once I give this a dry off, you'll get to see what the finish is like dry. It should still have a little bit of shine to it, but probably not as much as it will have once we get it on the buffing wheel. But I don't buff it until the very end, so it gets buffed. Once the handle's a handle and it's been parted off the waste block, and again the bottom's been dressed up, slightly hollowed, and then sanded and then wet and dried. But that's a fairly quick process because you're only doing that one surface on the bottom. The rest of the handle right to the base is basically already done. Oh mate, yeah, with that rhodium knot on it, mate, woohoo! It'll be like slapping yourself with a big pillow, mate. And heaps of lather, because they've got reasonable backbone in them too, they're just so dense. But they'll still splay, they'll still do the job. They're not, they don't tend to hold on, they're not monsters when it comes to soaking up the lather and holding it in the brush either. They actually allow the flow through really well. So beautiful knots, mate, absolutely beautiful. Best money can buy, I reckon. Surgeon actually sent a couple of handles, shaving brushes up for me with these knots fitted in them, the porcelain ones. I think a couple of the guys have tried them as well. I think people like Chris Madden and maybe one or two others have tried them and absolutely love them. So this is the last grip. This is the 12,000. And again, you can still hear it cutting up. Well, I can anyway. You might not hear it on the camera. I can still hear it cutting. And I'm still getting, you know, very light grey water coming off it. So it's cutting its way, getting its height. Can't let these ones get dry. You've got to keep these ones really wet because they're so fine. You'll actually just take the surface off the pad if it gets dry on the, might even turn it down a little bit. If it gets dry and you don't have enough water on it, you'll take the surface right off the pad. It's that fine. Just more friction, I guess, and a soft material. So these are actually foam, so you can bend them any way which, and they just go back to flat. So it's good for getting into the detailed side of things. You can get into a lot of places with these. You can force them in, as long as it's not too fine. If it's too fine, you've basically got to go in with folded sandpaper to get into the little tight area, especially if it's like little V-cuts and you've got 2 or 3 of them or something like that. You've got to get right in there. We still got everybody in the chat. John's gone for dinner. I'll be looking forward to mine, I'll tell you. But I just felt like getting another handle knocked out tonight, and I thought, well, what better to get this one done. Tim's under no obligations to take this one. Because it didn't come out the bright orange and blue, but we kind of suspected that in the beginning anyway. But I says to Tim, I says, mate, the other night when I cast it, I says, it's still going to look alright, I reckon. And it hasn't let me down. So Tim's here, Steve's here. Is Rory still here, or has he got bored and gone? Yeah, if only, Tim. I can't have a beer most nights, mate. I'm on medication, so I'm not supposed to drink alcohol at all. But I tend to save myself up, and every Friday night have a couple of bundies or a couple of ciders or a couple of beers or something. And then I might have one or two on the Saturday, and I might have one or two on the Sunday, and then that's it. I'm stopped again for Monday, so back to Friday. But yeah, well, if we can't enjoy those little pleasures in life, we might as well give up living, eh? Okay, I think I'm going to leave that at that. I'm pretty happy with the look of that. So I'm just going to spin the lathe up and just give it a little dry off. So like I said, you'll probably find it'll lose a bit of its shine here. But being polyester, it might still retain it actually. You've probably seen, if you've watched my other streams, you've probably seen that those were polyurethane blanks. So they actually need a lot more polishing and shining up, whereas, like I said before, the polyester tends to come off the micromesh pads and it's already got a nice shine to it. So anything you do to it after that just enhances it even more. And that's what you're going to see in this one. I mean, you can see the amount of shine that's on that now. If that was an epoxy or a polyurethane resin blank, that would still be kind of matted. It would lose that real shine, whereas the polyester tends to hold it. So there you go. Look at that. Let me change to camera 3 for you. There you go, look at that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move that camera back slightly, and I'm going to swap over the chucks. So what I'll do is I'll go back to that one for a minute. You can still see roughly what I'm doing. So I'm going to take, now that that's all done, and I'm happy with that, just inspect. Yeah, there's still very, very, very faint lines in there, but hopefully we'll get a lot of that out with the buffing. But look, you've got to look hard to see them. Okay, so there's the brush, or the handle I should say, sitting there. I'll take this chuck off. I'm going to put the big baby on. Grab the big key. So this section here is different to how we had the previous one. Let me just run through that with you. So when I had that in the other chuck, the chuck was actually holding it by that part there, so it's clamping onto the piece. What I'm actually doing now is I've taken that out, and I'm actually going to sit that onto this narrow chuck. And what happens is I'm actually going the opposite way now, so I'm actually going in expansion mode this way. So what I'm doing is I'm opening the chuck up into the actual socket of the handle, and all I'm doing there is making sure that that is sitting on there nice and true now. So what I'm going to do is bring the tailstock up now, keep it a little bit away, and I'll advance the tailstock into the piece and make sure I've got room to get my tool rest in, which I have. I might even just let it go back a little bit more. So all that's doing is giving me security of the piece on or in the chuck. Okay, I've still got to tighten that chuck up yet. But what I'm doing is I'm using the tailstock to push the blank in against the chuck now, and you'll see there without me, well, I will tighten it. So I'll expand the chuck. What I've got to be careful of is I've got to be very careful that I don't expand the jaws too much and you know, I could break off that top section, or I could put a big crack down through the handle, and once it goes, you just hear it, you'll crack, and it'll just split the handle in two. I have had that happen once or twice. Not that often though, and this handle's actually got plenty of meat there, because I like to make them thicker when it's getting fitted with a rhodium knot. The rhodium knots, because they're so dense, and they hydrate really well, they take on a lot of water. They do swell though. So Sergeant's actually got a QA check that he does where he pre-wets the knots prior to fitting and all that. So he actually checks and makes sure that, you know, everything's good. That's probably going to do me there. I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. That's fairly tight. So now I'm just going to tighten up the tailstock, and I'll just lock it off. I'll just move that camera back a tad, and I'll reset the camera just so we get that more in the middle of the shot there. And I want to get these in as close as I can. Okay, so I'm going to lock that off now, and then I'm going to lower the tool rest really low and keep it a little bit distance away from the blank. Check the rotation first. Start the lathe reasonably slowly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to part that waste piece here off. So I'll speed the lathe up a bit here. And I'm just going to go in nice and slowly. And I'm just going to keep shaving in to the bottom of the handle. And once I get really close, and I've only got a tiny little bit holding it on, then I'll part it off completely. And we'll be left with just the handle sitting on the chuck with no waste piece on the bottom. That's just me taking waste away, guys, so it's not anything with the handle. Probably sounds fairly aggressive. That's me cutting near the handle. This is away from the handle. So that handle is only attached to that waste block now by about 1/8 of material. I don't know if you can see the material in there, probably not. I just can't get the camera quite close enough. Yeah, there you can see in there now, or almost. So there you can see the little spindly bit there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to a little bit more. Thinner and thinner. You can see it's just hanging on there now, and I'm just going to part that off completely now. And there it's done. There's the little bit. That's the offcut. Okay, so that's the, I'll take the tailstock back now. And I'm going to release that and take it back out the way for now, until I just get things adjusted again. I'm going to bring the tool rest up higher now. And bring that into there. Drop that down until I can get the tool, cutting edge of the tool on centre. I'll bring this back in for you now, because this is just a sort of like a pull cut that I'm going to make here, so you'll be able to you'll be able to see that cup getting made, and I just use a spindle gouge for that now, and just very light cuts, because if I try and take too much, I've got a chance of pulling it off the chuck, possibly again cracking the handle, and that's probably nice there. I'm only just using the edge of the tool and just using a little tool stroke. I like to put a nice hollow in the bottom of my handles. Now obviously as that's spinning in the lathe there, the centre of the material is spinning the slowest, so you've just got to take your time and make sure you get that little nibble in the middle. So you're actually trying to remove more material from the middle than anywhere else really, because it's hardly spinning. So you just got to take your time. There's still a little nibble there now, so I'm just going to try and get that out. Then I'm going to stop the lathe and just check that with a little stainless steel ruler, just to see how much hollow I've got in there or if it needs more. You can see that, but I want a little bit more in it. I'd be happy with a little bit more. Another look. So you can see that. Can you see that hollow there in the camera? A little bit of a hollow. A little touch more, and then that'll do us. I think. Then we'll get into the sanding. That's going to do me, I think. I'm happy with that. So I'll pull the tool rest out the way now because we're pretty much done with that. I'll leave the tailstock where it is so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to stop the lathe and then we're just going to give this a touch up with the sanding grips again. Now Tim, if you're still watching mate, obviously I don't have my coins yet, so I did give you some options on engraving if you wanted to get it engraved. You'll just need to let me know what you want on it, and then I can set up the lasers and I can do your engraving for you. As long as you're happy with that, because like I said, my preference has always been to put nothing on the brushes. I just believe it spoils the brush and takes away the art that's in the casting and the making of the brush. But that's just me. I do understand people want maker's marks on brushes, and I do appreciate and understand when people want something a little bit different too, so I understand all that. So you just need to let me know what you want to do, mate, and we can take care of it from there. You guys probably can't see me there, but I'll put it on here. I really get into this eye. I'll take you back to the other camera view in a little while. And you'll actually see, you'll see the bottom starting to take shape and starting to shine up as well. Oh, I don't need that, sorry. Tell me if I'm sticking my tongue out. Concentration. Yeah, no worries, Tim. I'll send you, well, I think I mentioned it to you anyway. My logo is just basically, I have a nice large TF in the middle of the logo, just TF, and then up the top I have customs, and then down the bottom it has shaving brushes, but in a circular fashion. So if you can envisage that, but I'll send you something tomorrow. I think there is a brush on my Facebook page. I think it's the Lotus brush, or the Lotus style brush that I have actually in my kit, and it's got the TF custom shaving brushes logo on the bottom of that. It's probably one of the only ones. Oh, I've done a couple, but I don't do a lot. Like I said, I just feel that it spoils the brush, but each to their own, and I fully understand it if you want it done. So it's no big deal. I can do it. Or you could do away with the TF in the middle, and you could have your initials in the middle if you wanted to, and just have customs around the outside, customs shaving brushes around the outside. Just be missing the TF, unless I set up another image for that, but that's how it is. If you just want my maker mat, that's fine. I just got to size the image to engrave onto the bottom of the handle. So what I'm doing here is only finishing the bottom of the brush and just the joint between where the hollow starts here back into the curve, and that's all I'm really sanding. You'll see me doing a little bit on the edge there. That's just to take that sharpness off that edge here on the round, and it just makes the handle, it just finishes the handle for hold, so it's all smooth. You've got no sort of sharp definite edge there to that's you're gonna feel in the palm of your hand. It's not there. It just doesn't happen. Okay, that's one grit done. We can zip through these ones pretty quickly. Just get to the buffing stage, which I'll do on the lathe here. These brushes are actually a much easier brush to do on the little buffing machine here, because they haven't got all the different tight little crevices like some of the other handles that I do, where you've really got to work to get the mops inside those tighter details. These ones have only got that one detail, and the mop tends to go into that okay, depending on how you hold it against the mop, so it's no biggie. Yeah, no, the coins, just coming back to what you said there, Tim, the coins are actually, I'm hoping that they're going to come up really nice actually. I've gone for the antique brass and the antique silver, so I'm imagining the antique silver will be a sort of, it'll be a silvery shiny, but the antique side of it should darken that down to sort of like a pewtery colour I would imagine. I've only got sort of rendered images to look at the moment, but I can send you them through as well, Tim, if you did want to hold on for them. But like I said, they're probably still 2 to 3 weeks away, all going well, and you know, hopefully COVID doesn't hold anything up. But I think they'll be quite nice, and I've got the 2 different colours, and I might eventually get other colours as well. But I thought the 2 would do me for now, and that gives people the option. So if they want the coin, they can have the choice of brass, antique brass, or antique silver, or again the engraving choices. You guys always this quiet in the chat, or are you chatting to each other off somewhere else as well? Oh, good guys, I'm only pulling your leg. I'll bring you back down to the shot there, so you can see the bottom starting to shine up now as well, with its little hollow in there, so it sits, always going to sit flat. Not that acrylic changes shape like wood can, so even if the base was flat, it would still sit flat when you put it on the top. But the difference is if you've got water on the bottom and you sit it there, it can tend to float around, whereas with a hollow in it, I tend to find it doesn't do that as much. I'm lucky my bathroom tops have got a sort of a very fine grain in them, so it doesn't happen anyway. It's only if you've got a really smooth top or a stone or marble top or something like that that it becomes an issue when it sits on it, if it's wet. I'm hoping that when I put it in the light tent that the blue colour will pop up a little bit more. I mean, there's parts of it that pop a bit more than others, which is nice. It gives it a nice effect. I'd just like to try and get a shot that you can get a nice clearer view of the colours, Tim. Shortly onto the buffing wheel, guys, and then we're done for the night. But if I was having to pick a colour for the coin, oh, it's a hard one, really. I would probably say, I always found when I was making my pens that I always found that blues and colours like that tended to go better with chrome. So I would probably say the silver, the antique silver, would probably look better with this one rather than the brass. But having said that, the antique brass might look okay too with the orange. So I think it's really just a personal taste on that one, Tim. If you're talking about engraving and then colour filling the engraving, well, that's a whole entirely different thing altogether. I'd need to have a look and see what colours I've got on hand. Otherwise I'd need to go and buy a can of colour, depending on what colours you're talking about. Like I said, my preference is nothing. But you know, I can understand people wanting wanting to have the maker's mark in the bottom of the handle. It, you know, lets people know where it's came from. Well, that's the finish with the mesh pads, guys. So we'll get rid of that, and I'm going to give that a little light drying off again, just with a paper towel. And then I'm going to take that chuck off, swap it over. So that's currently spinning at about 1400 RPM there, Tim. And there it is. Now if I bring that handle, bring that back a little bit and maybe try and lower, I don't know if I can get that lower. No, I don't think you're going to see the bottom anyway, but it's as shiny as the rest of the handle now. So now, we'll take that out that chuck. So I've got to remember and turn this the opposite direction to normal. There we go. If I can get it close enough to the camera and keep it in focus. Let me just check, see if I can get that shown to you, Tim. I might try one of the other cameras shortly too. And there's the bottom. If I can catch that light, sometimes you... It's hard doing everything in the camera like this because everything's sort of reversed. You think you're turning it one way and it's going the other way, and you try and watch the camera and it just confuses you. Ah, there you go. So you can see it's nice and flat. There you go. And then the top, like I said, has got probably a lot more of the orange and red in it. But it's quite nice how it sort of goes from the darker blue down the bottom up into the more orangey, browny orangey up top. And you were probably spot on the money actually. The burnt orange is probably there's probably a better description of that orange in there, although there is a couple of, as you can see, there's a bit more of a brighter orange section there and here. There's a couple of lighter, smaller ones down lower. Anyway, let's get to the buffing, eh? So take that chuck off there now. 2.5 hours have been going now. So I'm hanging for my dinner now. So a little bit to go, not too long, and we'll be right. So in goes the buffer. I'm going to bring up the tailstock a little bit. Wind that in so it's supported. Tighten that up. Okay, tool rests out the way. Slow it down, start it up. Get a bit of compound on there. So this is all filmed, and I don't know how you're watching it on YouTube. I'm not sure what it comes through on YouTube, but it's all filmed in 1080p, full HD. So the picture should be nice and clear, but sometimes it's a little bit fuzzy until YouTube actually gets it properly rendered on their site, and then you'll start to get the 1080 HD a lot clearer. Okay, so get you in there so you can see both mops, and I'll grab the brush now. Actually, very different, aren't they? That one's got the red and the yellow on it, and your one's got that beautiful blue in it. Anyway, let's get into the buffing. So I just work my way in now on the mops, making sure that I'm getting buffing compound everywhere, and making sure that I'm not staying in the one spot too long. But making sure that we're getting enough buff on it, you know. Like I said, you can see how shiny the handle is there anyway before I even buff. So I mean, it's that's the difference with working with the polyester and then working with some of the other resins that don't quite give you that same shine straight off the lathe. So all I'm doing now is I'm working the mop with the buffing compound up and down the length of the handle, so that if there is any small fine marks from the sanding, not that there should be, but if there is, then hopefully the buffing compound is going to cut them out and give us a nice flat smooth finish. But this wheel is at the moment, it's only about 3 inches. The new station that I've got is a proper buffing grinder with the big mops on it, and they're 8-inch mops. And they're wider as well, so they'll give a much better polish, and it'll be quicker and easier, I guess, and the end result should be better. Not that you'll see a lot of difference with the eye anyway, but the end result should hopefully be better. So I'm still, even though I'm getting into those edges, I'm still buffing in different directions, trying to make sure that you know, we're going in a different direction to the way the sanding was done and the turning was done, and making sure that we're getting on every part, every surface, don't miss any. Oh, John's back. Yeah, well John, you got back just at the right time, mate. You're going to see this thing shine shortly. Although it was shining before, but it's going to be even shinier now. We've just gone through the buffing process. And I mean, there's different buffing processes too. You can actually buff, there's like 3-part buffing systems, you know, where you go through a different process for each of those 3 buffings, and you know, you get an end result using different compounds. I've found that I get fair results just with this this one compound. So again, I'm still running the mop down the length of the handle so that we're taking out the any sanding marks radially around the brush, around the handle I should say. So all the process together hopefully give us a better end result. And this is the part that I always find the most difficult part, is trying to get into the detailed areas with these. These mops are just too small now. So like I said, once I go to the bigger mops, these sort of details and areas should be much easier to get to. But as you can see there, I'm getting to that area anyway. It's just, you've got to work it a little bit more. And to get right in there, I'm actually having to go in the direction that the handle was turned. So that's again one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to getting the other setup up, because then I can get in there without too much of a drama. I'm just going round that ring that sticks out, just to make sure that the edge is polished up on that as well. under that curve in the lower section, top of the lower section of the handle, so we get buffing in there as well, so we don't miss anything. And I think we've just about there, I think. Ready to go on to the polishing one now. The polishing one on this is still quite small as well, but it's a lot softer than this compound one. So it tends to get into the detailed areas a little bit better. Although it's probably a little bit soft if you get a lot of buffing compound and any tight details on the handle. This one's probably just a little bit too soft to actually take that, sometimes take it out. I've got to revert to using paper towels in the crevices and polish and to do that. So that's it on the compound one. Now we're just going to go through and I'm just going to hit the whole thing now. So we've got it all polished and all the buffing compounds gone. Still a little bit of compound in there. Just move the mop in different directions to see if we can force it in there better. And if we can't get it that way, then I'll revert to putting it back on the chuck and using some paper towel and just get into those corners to remove any buffing compound residue. Still can't quite see it popping the colour yet, guys, but it's not too far away, I can tell you. I've just taken it here to see if I can get the compound out of that little detail there. If not, I'll get it with a polish after. I think we'll get it after it's been stubborn. You've got to be careful you don't put the wrong shape into the wheel too severe as well, or the mop will actually grab the handle and pull out your hand. I've had that happen once or twice back in the early days, not so much now because I've always got a good grip on it. But yeah, back in the early days I had one or two grabbed, and it's pretty nasty if they get smashed against the steel bed of the lathe, and you're just lucky if it goes down the chute. The shaving chute. Sometimes when I'm doing smaller stuff like this as well, I tend to shut the exhaust down, because if you get small bits coming off or anything like that, it can go down the chute, and once it goes into the extraction, it'll get smashed up with a fan anyway inside the dust extraction, so never to be seen again. Some guys put mesh over the front of the big bird's mouth that I've got here in front of me. They'll put mesh over it, but then you find that when you're doing the acrylics and the resins, the shavings just clog it all up anyway. The streamers that come off these handles. So, oh man, this is looking awesome. You guys are sitting tight, waiting on the big reveal, eh? Alright, it's gone in my pocket. I'm not going to show you anymore. I'm finished. Ha ha ha. Just bear with me a tick. I'm just going to do something here. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. Look, oh, it's over that side, down over here somewhere, yeah. Please subscribe if you haven't already. You probably all have anyway. But I've been playing around trying to get graphics sorted out, so I've finally managed to work it out. Now I've just got to create more graphics for different things so I can pop different things up on the screen. So let me put my buffing mop away, and I'm going to put the big chuck back on. We'll get rid of that now, and I'll throw up the other one just for the end of for when I finish off the stream. Right, where were we? Let's get this handle. Oh, you're going to get to see it now when I put it on the chuck. Oh well, not to worry. I hate when you try and photograph them and the handles and that sort of thing, and you end up with dust marks all over them. Right, so that's that done. Let me check, make sure my polish is in here. So this is my polish of choice, guys, for my handles. It's a rejuvenator polisher for doing like polycarbonate headlamp covers, or actually a lot of the headlamps are made polycarbonate now, and it's just a rejuvenator for that, but it's also a polish, and I've been using this for a number of years now, and it just puts another level of finish on it again, and you only need a little amount, so I tend to go overboard when I do put it on, but anyway, let's get a little bit on there, a little bit there, and a little bit there, and close the lid and get a little bit there. Put that away. And would you believe it if I tell you I've got no more paper towel here? Oh yes, I have. Give me 2 seconds. Got to do this with a fresh bit of paper towel. So what I do is I'll actually, I don't know if that shot would be better off the, oh no, the other one's a bit too far away, although I can zoom that in. And then if I just adjust the camera a bit more, probably, I'll zoom it out a tad. We'll see, well that'll give us another look at it from a different direction, but I don't think it's going to show us much. I've just readjusted this other camera. So I'm going to turn the lathe right down. I'm just going to work this in by hand. Let me get that back to the chat. Oh mate, to clean everything down, it doesn't take that long actually. I mean, it takes less time if I've got the dust extraction on, but to put the dust extraction on in a live stream, it's just going to be too noisy. So I tend to leave it off, and I just come along with that. I've got another industrial vac that I have in the workshop here. So what I do is I just come along with that, and basically it sucks all those streamers and shavings and dust up within a matter of minutes, mate, around me. And then once every now and again, I've just got to give the whole workshop a bit of a dusting out and polish out and clean everything up, because you do tend to get dust settling everywhere. It's amazing how much dust actually comes off just doing even these, what we've done tonight. So yeah, now we've got that shot there, and we've also got this shot here, and I don't know if that's going to give us any better a shot on it, but we can try and see how we go. I've wiped the polish on just by hand with my fingers, and then basically I'll use the paper towel, which is just your normal run-of-the-mill kitchen paper towel. And then what I do is I start it relatively slow, so I'm not throwing the product back off the handle, and then I just work the polish into the resin. And like I said, where I can't get the buffing compound out in these tight details, that's where I tend to go in with the edge of the paper towel, and generally you find that takes the compound out. You can already see it starting to take a shine there. We have got a little bit polish still on that top section, which you can't really see in the video there anyway. But you can already see the shine coming up on that handle there from that view. And then if I go back to the other view, yeah, it's a bit too far away. Brought you in a bit closer. And sometimes I'll go over this twice, so I'll work this one in, let it dry, and then I'll just put a quick lick over it a second time, and it's just amazing how it just pops it. So I'm just going to turn the lathe down now so it's on really slow. Hopefully you can see that there, and then if I go to the other shot, you'll see probably the lower section of the handle even better in the Handycam shot, which is this shot here. And then I'll just stop it and you'll get to see it in all its glory. So that shot there, you can see that blue coming up from the bottom of the handle with the odd splash of the sort of burnt orangey burnt colour coming up through, and then obviously it seems to get more as it gets up nearer the top of the handle, which is quite nice. And then if I go back to that tailstock shot, you'll get an overall of the whole brush there. So as I said, you can see a lot more orange up in the top section there, lighter bits of orange down through the bottom with blue coming up from the bottom, and then you've got a little bit of blue scattered in throughout the top section there as well. So yeah, but I'm going to just drop another touch of polish on that and just give it another once over, and then I think that'll be enough for the night, guys. I'll go and get some dinner before the wife starts getting cranky and wants to go to bed, and I'll be eating my dinner out of the microwave, I think. I really appreciate you coming in, guys, and I mean, that's the whole idea. This sort of live thing is that people can come in and they can ask questions on the fly. Like I said, I'm planning on continuing with the live stream videos. I could go straight to Facebook, which would probably get a lot more people in a lot quicker. I do want to try and build a channel. TF Custom Shaving Brushes. I do want to build that online presence on YouTube. Not for money, because nobody makes a lot of money out of YouTube or anything, but it might just, you know, help with a few little bits and pieces. And I want to develop some graphics, as I mentioned earlier, for the channel as well, so I can put graphics up for different things. I might even have graphics that I can put up when I'm making a brush. If somebody wants their brush shown being made and they want their name on the screen, I can do that. So yeah, I'm just playing with it at the moment, but we'll see how we go with it all. Alright, I'll take you back to that shot, and I'll use a different section of the paper towel this time, and again I'll just lightly go over it, and you can see the shine comes straight to it once you take that paper towel over. Get into the little detailed section in there, top of the chuck, where it's sitting on the chuck, get into that. Yeah, no worries, Tim, that's the whole purpose, mate. Share the info out. Actually, to be honest with you, Tim, most of my brushes do go overseas. I mean, I do sell a fair few here in Australia, but probably not as many as I do to overseas. So yeah, it's just the way it is. I mean, the Australian market's a very small market. There is more and more people doing this as well now here in Australia. I mean, when I started doing it, I was probably the only one around at that time. There was no other Australian artisans in brush making, I don't think. Well, I couldn't find any, and a lot of the guys couldn't find any in the wet shaving. A lot of them weren't aware of anybody else doing it. So yeah, I was sort of in there in the early days, and it took a long time to develop into something, you know, but I enjoy it. Look, you know, even if I wasn't selling that many, I mean, I'm not selling loads. I mean, I couldn't never make a living out, put it that way, and especially now that there's other people doing it here in Australia as well now. You know, that makes it a little bit harder because it's getting shared around, but I don't mind that. That's the way it is. If people want my brushes, they want them for particular reasons, and that's because I can do custom castings, you know, your colours, all that sort of thing, and I can do any shape. I'm not limited to any particular shapes. As long as I've got a photo, a photo of what you're after, unless it's a shape I've done. As long as I've got a photo, I can make things work from that. So, but I like, I mean, like I said, I wouldn't make any money out of the amount of time I put into making the castings and then making the brush. And it's even longer if you've got to set a knot in it. But yeah, I would never get rich, put it that way, but I enjoy doing it, and doing the live streaming is just another aspect to that. And there we go, guys. There's the finished item. I don't have a 26mm knot of surgeons that I can show you with a knot sitting in that, but I can sit that 27mm one in, but it'll only go in so far, so it's not going to give you a perfect look. It's not going to give you a perfect look to the brush with a rhodium knot in it, but it will give you a little bit of a look. And if I can get it to go in far enough, just let me remove that from the chuck. Go in the opposite direction. Yeah, cool. Get rid of that. And I'm just going to show you in this camera straight in front. Like I said, I can't get this fully in here, Tim, so it's not, the knot's going to be sitting too high, but it is a rhodium knot and it's in that finished handle. And I'm pretty pleased with that. There's the bottom, nice and flat with that hollow in it, and you can see that blue in the bottom. It's dark, but it's striking, and like I said, you can see that orange, bunty orange coming up from the bottom very lightly, and then it gets heavier as it gets nearer the top, and you got some nice stronger orangey patches coming up through it. But yeah, looking at it in the hand, it's stunning. It really is. And like I said about the knots, I find that with this handle, this particular type of handle, my little finger sort of sits nicely into the curve in the bottom, and then, you know, either of these two fingers sitting in here, and then that one over the ring there, you get a nice feel. I mean, you'll find how you want to hold it yourself, and it sits nicely in the palm here, no sharp edges. It's just a beautiful handle to hold, I reckon. But you'll be able to tell me what you think of it, Tim, eh? So there you go, guys, one last look, and then I think we'll call it a night. I'll end the stream, and the full video will go up on YouTube shortly afterwards, guys. Alrighty, I'll take the knot out, put it back in its original handle that it was made for here, and yeah, so as always, guys, thanks for dropping in and having a look. See, I do have another couple of blanks from the other night that we cast that I want to turn into handles as well, so we may end up getting another video in a day or two. So obviously this one, I'm really interested in this one. The clear on the bottom is just really clear. I've got blue in there as well, which is similar to the blue that was put into yours, Tim, believe it or not, but it's just matte mixed in with the dark colour, and it's just it's not quite as striking, but you do get those flashes of that blue when the light catches it in that handle, Tim. And these were there were different types of castings too, so this one was, I wanted that separation like that with the clear on the bottom. So I'm going to set the knot on the top, probably be a similar shape to that one, if not the same that I've just done. And we're going to turn that away. Obviously the gold is not a straight line gold like what I normally do in some of my two-tone ones like this. It's a bit more, you know, where it's landed is where it's landed. There is a bit inside that goes down deeper inside as well, as you can probably see there. But there's not a speck or a bubble or anything in that clear. So, you know, I think it's going to be stunning actually. And once it's turned, I think a little bit of the gold, because the gold's a really bright metallic-y gold, I think it will reflect a little bit of gold down into the clear, different ways you look at it too, as you can see there when you look in from the bottom. So that one, I'm looking forward to that one and seeing how that turns out. That was Steve's one that we tried but didn't come out quite right, but it's still going to make I've got to get the maroon right in that, not brown. It does have a reddy tinge in it, but it's not maroon. So I'm going to, when I've got some spare time, there's no rush on it. When I've got some spare time, I'm going to try and perfect the maroon colour. And you know, the gold and the white is easy, it's just getting the maroon right. So that'll be another handle that I'm going to turn on a string. And I do have another one here which was from the other night when I done the casting video. This one's been a little bit of a disaster. This one started to gel on me actually, and it, you know, basically it was coming out the cup jelly, and I put it in the pot, and I was having a couple of issues with the pot as well, with the pressure. So this one didn't quite turn out the way I wanted it to. It's got a few holes and cracks and whatever else in it, but that was a mix of, I think actually I said in the video it was bronze. I think it's more copper, but I also mixed a pink colour in this, and I also put a lot of clear in it. So I'm still going to turn it and see if I can get a handle out of it. It might be a case, it might be a shorter type handle. Probably still get, I may still get, yeah, no, I might still get a handle that will be about 60mm long in it. It won't be quite as long as my other handles, might be a shorter one, and I'm hoping that there'll be no issues inside, and I can get rid of all this this damaged holes and that in the bottom, and still use that top section of the blank. So hopefully I can get a handle out, but if not, it was a trial experiment anyway. We're mixing a lot of clear into them, so I'm going to give that another bash as well. You can see the clear there actually, it's sort of lets you look into the blank, and then you've got the mix of colours inside it. There's a little bit clear sitting on the top there, as you can see. So a few nice interesting custom castings to turn and try, and we'll see how they go. I'm going for my dinner, guys. There's a last look at Tim's brush. It's an absolute stunner. You can see the shine in it there, it's beautiful. And the colour mix in it is maybe not as bright as you wanted, Tim, but it's lovely, mate. It really is. But no obligations, mate. You touch base with me, and if you're happy with that, we'll sort out your what you're doing in the bottom, and then we'll take it from there, right? I can send it down to Sergeant to have a rhodium knot, put in a nice rhodium knot for you. Okay, guys, I'm going to call it quits at that. Thanks for coming in. It was enjoyable having you here. I'll read back the comments later, and if there's any comments in there or questions in there that I didn't answer in the video, I'll get back to you and I'll answer some of them. But until then, have fun, enjoy your shaving, and we'll see you the next time in the next video in the workshop. Cheers, guys. Bye bye.